In the shadows of our world, in the corners of every city, lurk stories that defy explanation. These are tales of figures who emerged from the darkness, committed unspeakable acts, and then vanished without a trace, leaving behind only fear and unanswered questions. Their names remain unknown, their motives a mystery, and their crimes forever etched in the annals of history as unsolved. Join us as we descend into the chilling abyss of true crime to uncover the top 10 serial killers who were never caught. Our journey begins in the post-war gloom of 1946 in the border town of Texarkana. Over a terrifying 10-week period, a hooded figure known only as the Phantom Killer stalked the local lovers' lanes. He would attack couples parked in secluded areas, turning youthful romance into a nightmare. His spree of violence left 5 people dead and 3 seriously injured. The town was gripped by a panic so intense that citizens armed themselves and a curfew was imposed. Despite one of the largest manhunts in Texas history, the Phantom's identity was never confirmed. He simply disappeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear that inspired the classic horror film, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And a chilling question: who was the man behind the sackcloth mask? Fast forward to the late 1960s, a time of social upheaval and unrest in San Francisco. A new kind of terror emerged, one who craved not just murder, but public attention. He called himself the Zodiac. Between 1968 and 1969, he claimed at least 5 victims, but in his taunting, cryptic letters sent to newspapers and police, he boasted of killing as many as 37. These letters, filled with ciphers and bizarre symbols, were his signature. The most famous of these, the 408 cipher, was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife, but it revealed only a rambling, chilling message, not the killer's name. Decades of investigation, countless suspects, and endless analysis of his cryptic communications have yielded nothing concrete. The Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American criminal history, a ghost in the machine of modern forensics. Now let's travel to the stark, sun-scorched landscape of New Mexico. In 2009, a woman walking her dog stumbled upon a human bone on the West Mesa, a barren patch of desert on the outskirts of Albuquerque. This gruesome discovery led to a massive excavation, unearthing a mass grave. The remains of 11 women and an unborn child were found buried in the sand. The victims, most of whom had histories involving sex work and drugs, had vanished between 2003 and 2005. This perpetrator was dubbed the West Mesa Bone Collector. Despite a dedicated task force and thousands of tips, authorities have struggled to identify a viable suspect. The vastness of the desert and the vulnerability of the victims created a perfect storm for a predator to operate unnoticed. To this day, the desert holds its secrets tight, and the bone collector remains a phantom. During the late 1980s, a scenic roadway in Virginia became a hunting ground. The Colonial Parkway, a historic and picturesque route connecting Jamestown and Yorktown, was the backdrop for a series of horrific crimes. Between 1986 and 1989, 3 couples were found murdered and another couple disappeared, presumed to be victims of the same killer. The cars were often found abandoned on or near the parkway, with the victims discovered later, sometimes miles away. The cases were perplexing. There were few signs of robbery or overt sexual assault, leaving investigators baffled as to the motive. Was it one killer or a team? Was it someone in law enforcement, given the seemingly controlled nature of the crime scenes? Despite links between the cases, no suspect has ever been officially named, and the Colonial Parkway Killer has eluded justice for over 3 decades. Imagine a common household product turning into a deadly weapon. In 1982, that terrifying scenario became reality in the Chicago metropolitan area. It began when a 12-year-old girl died after taking an extra-strength Tylenol capsule. Within days, 6 more people were dead, all from cyanide-laced Tylenol. Panic swept the nation. The manufacturer, Johnson & Johnson, issued a massive recall of 31 million bottles, and the incident led to the creation of tamper-proof packaging that we see on shelves today. Investigators believed the killer bought the bottles from various stores, poisoned the capsules at home, and then returned them to the shelves to be purchased by unsuspecting victims. A prime suspect was identified but never charged for the murders. The Chicago Tylenol killer not only took 7 lives, but also stole a sense of safety from every American home, and then, like a ghost, simply vanished. In the vast, rugged wilderness of British Columbia, Canada, runs Highway 16. For decades, this 725-kilometer stretch of road has been known by a much more sinister name, the Highway of Tears. Since the late 1960s, an alarmingly high number of women, a disproportionate number of whom are from indigenous communities, have gone missing or been found murdered along this corridor. Official estimates put the number of victims at 18, but indigenous groups believe the true number is much higher, possibly over 40. The remote nature of the highway, the poverty in the region, and systemic issues have made these women particularly vulnerable. While police have linked one now deceased American killer to some of the cases, they strongly believe that multiple predators have used this highway as their hunting ground over the years. Many of these cases remain cold, and for the families left behind, the highway is a constant, heartbreaking reminder of the killers who may still be out there. In December 2010, a police officer on a training exercise made a shocking discovery near Gilgo Beach on Long Island, New York. He found the skeletal remains of a woman in a burlap sack. The search expanded, and over the next few months, the remains of 9 more people, including a toddler, were uncovered along the same stretch of Ocean Parkway. The investigation revealed a pattern of murder spanning years, with many victims being online sex workers. The unknown predator, dubbed the Long Island serial killer, or LISK, seemed to use the dense, thorny brush along the parkway as his personal dumping ground. The sheer number of victims and the long timeline of the crimes point to a cunning, methodical killer who has managed to avoid detection for years, living anonymously somewhere in the sprawling suburbs of New York. The hunt for this elusive killer continues, a chilling reminder that monsters can hide in plain sight. Let's cross the Atlantic to the beautiful hills of Tuscany, Italy. Between 1968 and 1985, this idyllic landscape was terrorized by a killer known as Il Mostro di Firenze, the Monster of Florence. The killer targeted couples in parked cars or tents in secluded countryside areas. Using the same Beretta pistol in all the attacks, he would shoot the victims and then gruesomely mutilate the female bodies. The investigation was one of the most complex and controversial in Italian history, filled with false leads, wrongful convictions, and accusations of a satanic cult. Several men were convicted, but their sentences were later overturned, and many investigators believe the true killer was never brought to justice. The Monster of Florence case became a national obsession, a dark saga of love, death, and justice denied under the Tuscan sun. We returned to San Francisco, this time in the mid-1970s, a period of liberation and newfound freedom for the city's gay community. But a dark shadow fell over the Castro and other neighborhoods. A man, known only as the Doodler, preyed on men he met in gay bars and nightclubs. He was an artist, and he would often sketch his victims before luring them to a secluded spot to kill them. He is believed to be responsible for as many as 16 murders and 3 assaults. The survivors described him as a young, slim African-American man, but they were reluctant to testify in court, fearing the public exposure of their sexuality in a less accepting time. This fear allowed the Doodler to escape. Police even had a strong suspect, but without a witness willing to testify, their hands were tied. The artist of death sketched his victims into oblivion and then faded away, his identity still a mystery. Finally, We arrive in the fog-shrouded gaslit streets of Victorian London, 1888. Here we find the most infamous uncaught serial killer in history, a name that has become synonymous with terror, Jack the Ripper. In the impoverished district of Whitechapel, over a period of about 10 weeks, 5 women were brutally murdered and mutilated. The killer targeted impoverished women who worked the streets, and the sheer savagery of the attacks shocked even the most hardened Londoners. He taunted the police and the press with letters, some reputedly sent with a piece of a victim's kidney, signing off with the chilling name that would echo through history. Countless theories and hundreds of suspects, from doctors and butchers to artists and even royalty, have been proposed over the last century. But no one has ever been able to definitively prove who Jack the Ripper was. He was a phantom of the London fog, a legend born from real-life horror. These are the spectres of our history, the monsters who walked among us and then dissolved back into the darkness from which they came. Their legacies are not just the lives they took, but the questions they left behind, questions that haunt investigators and captivate our darkest curiosities. Which of these killers do you think will ever be identified? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this dark journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries. Stay safe and stay vigilant.